All right, Panther fans, I got a treat for you here. All right, now you know I'm on Twitter. All right, you know I'm on Twitter. Now, this guy, most likely, most likely, I can't think of anybody else who was a Panther fan before him. All right, it's probably not even physically possible for anybody to have been a Panther fan before him, with maybe the lone exception of Wayne Huizinga because he had the idea, he had the juice. But other than that, Stu and Boca, welcome, welcome. I appreciate you joining me. And this guy's listen to what Stu has to say. I like to have people on that have different opinions than me. Stu and I text a lot during the games. We communicate a lot. I would say we agree on maybe 70, 80% of the things. Every once in a while, we have a little bit of a disagreement, but it's friendly. And usually, almost always, one of us ends up right anyway. Even when we disagree, eventually I'll come back to him or he'll come back to me like, you were right. Because it's like we just finished talking about. He was right about Forsling when nobody else wanted to call it. And everybody knows I've been pounding Tippett hard and saying top six, top six. So, Stu, thanks for joining us, bud.
Thanks for having me, Eric. It's a long time coming. It's
Yeah.
something we've talked about. Like you said, we chat on a regular basis. We share ideas. I mean, listen, the bottom line is we're both in that circle of diehard fans. We bleed Panthers. I mean, like you said, I've been around this team. I snuck into the press conference when the NHL awarded Huizinga. Bill Torrey was there and Bobby Clark. I know Bill Torrey because I used to work for the Islanders when I was a teenager. So I got into the press conference. So I don't know if anybody could beat me.
No, I
on
don't.
that
I
one.
don't think so. I don't think
But
so. Maybe Wayne, but he's not with us anymore. So you got
um,
top billing now at this point.
so anyway, like I said, it's a pleasure. We kind of came up with this idea of maybe just doing a recap,
Right,
a
right.
true recap, and then basically some ideas about the team in general. So if you want to just start off
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
recapping the game,
And so
obviously
yesterday,
here's my yeah. Well,
yes, yeah.
let's start off with game one.
Okay, well
All
we
right,
start.
game one
Okay,
was was exactly as I was hoping the team would come out,
right.
like a fire under their ass. They were hitting everybody. They were
Yep.
aggressive, doing all the things that they did at the beginning of the year. And it was important that we got out to a good start because, as you know, year after year, we have a terrible start and then we're
Right,
playing catch up.
right,
So
right.
the team is pretty consistent, this year. Um, we can all agree that that game was stolen from us. The
Yeah,
goal that was disallowed, all the penalties that Tampa committed that didn't get called. I mean, listen, Panther fans, you guys all know that the refs have it out for us. It's just, I don't know why, but
right.
it is. We
I
do not get the respect like the other teams.
well, that's exactly it.
So anyway, losing that game, was a crushing defeat. I attended the game, the second game, and I got to tell you, I was really bored. That's the only way to describe it. Normally, I'm focused in on that, on everything that goes on, but we just did not look like we were engaged like we were in game one. So we'll
Right.
put 1 and 2 behind us and talk about last night, which I thought was a great effort. Obviously, jumping out to that 2-0 lead was good, and I don't know what happened in period two besides the stupid penalties that we took. We cannot take penalties against
No,
Tampa.
no. I know we
They,
can't. And it looked like in game two, we kind of had the PK figured out and fixed up a little bit. But that's the second time they've beaten us with that same play, where it's either Cooch or Stamkos fakes the shot and does that little slide past the point in the middle. And they beat Bob with it, and then they beat Drieger with it.
well,
And
I'll add point to that list of Panther killers.
yeah,
Stamkos has been a Panther killer forever. I think when we've chatted, I've told you time and time again, you got to neutralize Stamkos. You cannot
right.
let Stamkos do that one-timer like Ovi or like Eckler. Right-handed shot on their left side is deadly. And that his teammates are going to be looking to feed Stamkos for that one-timer. So I think that's key. Moving forward is obviously just, hitting the crap out of Stamkos every time he touches the puck. Just punish him.
Yeah.
But let's talk about the elephant in the room, which is benching Yandel.
All right.
I know everybody out there that's watching this is a big Yandel fan, but I really think, it took a lot for Q to do it. Don't ask me why he wasn't benched, earlier in the series. Obviously, Q doesn't want to break the streak. The players love him. He's a great guy.
Yeah.
I mean, let's face it. Yandel's a great guy. He's just lost his mojo.
He's lost it. There's no doubt about that. And somebody mentioned on Twitter last night, 2 for 2 on the power play with Yandel gone.
Yeah. Well, I've been saying for months and months and months, my man, Gustav Forsling, should be quarterbacking that power play.
Yes, you have.
But I think Q had enough in game 2. That empty net goal was basically a lazy ass pass by Yandel.
Yep.
That I don't even know who scored it. It doesn't matter.
Right.
But he gave it right to the Tampa player. And I just think Q said, you know what? That's it. Done.
That's enough.
You're benched.
And that was the second time he'd done that in that game. Remember, he did that right in front of the net. And he did that little drop pass right to the Tampa player. And luckily, Drieger made that save. So I think, you get to the point where the only reason you're even thinking about putting Yandel out there is for his experience. And it wasn't doing anybody any good. He's just clearly, and you hate to say it. What's that?
He's a major liability.
Right.
He's a major liability defensively. And I don't think his offense is that good anymore.
Right.
I think, first of all, he passes too much. He tries to make the perfect pass, and I'll just focus in on the power play. His shot hardly gets through.
That's the thing. It's not getting through.
I just think, his better days are behind him. What we're going to do, and I think I told you this yesterday, I think the solution to the Yandel problem is at the end of the year, they sit him down and say, look, here's the deal. You got a no trade contract, but you also have an Iron Man streak that I know, you want to be number 1.
Right.
Well, we're going to bench you at the start of the season. So either you waive your no trade clause and we'll try and get a deal to a good team that you'll be happy with, or we'll keep you, eat the salary, but you're not going to play.
Right. Yeah, that's one of 2 options. Somebody actually asked the question. I don't know if it was during the live stream last night. They brought up the question of what if he decided to retire?
He's not going to.
You don't think he will?
No,
he wants that streak.
Got the streak. Absolutely. That's why when he goes into the corner, he doesn't hit anybody.
Right.
Or if somebody's about to hit him, he'll pull up. I mean, all you have to do is watch video and you'll see he does not want to get hurt.
Right.
And
it just makes me.
You can't play hockey unless you're going to sacrifice yourself.
No.
Body.
I know. Just ask John Tavares. That was crazy. Yeah. I don't know if you saw the replay on that. I
finally got a chance to watch that.
Yeah.
Pretty awful.
was.
So now that we got Yandel out of the way, the other controversial thing last night was starting Stroman on top D pair.
Yeah,
which
no
I
doubt.
Tell you, after watching the game and zeroing in on him, Stroman had a decent game.
Yep. Yeah. Well, I think I thought about it as I was watching the game, and what I realized was it settled down Uyghur, because I think what's happened, especially in these first 2 games, is that, Ekblad's gone, and regular season Uyghur kind of took on that role, and Forsling was playing decent, alongside of him. But playoffs have come. Forsling hasn't looked great. Uyghur has looked even worse. And so I think putting Strawman up there just kind of settled everything down a little bit, sort of like putting Drieger into net in the game too. This sort of settled Uyghur down because he was much more himself last night. The first two games,
and I like the
could see him.
pairing. I like the Gudis Forsling pairing.
Yeah. I think that was a good move by Q because you get a veteran guy with each young guy, and I mean, even though we gave up 5 goals, both games, game 2, game 3, all the goals have been in one period that we've given up.
Well, that was just, I mean,
that was crazy last night. I mean, it very similar to what happens with Bob when he gives up 3 or 4 in a period, where there's 2-3 mistakes, and at the same time you're also thinking Bob could have stopped 1 or maybe 2 of those, but at the same time you watch the replay and it's tough on the goalies because, I mean, Drieger gave up a rebound that maybe you kind of wanted to have back, but then a couple of times, they're just allowing, our defense is allowing Tampa to just pass the puck back and forth 2 feet from the net. What the hell's a goalie supposed to do? He's going to get pulled out of position. And when they pull Drieger out of position, it's bad because it's tough to get him out of position. That's why he's been statistically better than Bob. But they pulled it off last night, and I think it works out because now starting Drieger in this game 3 did not cost us game 3, but now what we actually have is a confident Sergei Bobrovsky, because now he's coming off of, yes, I did it. I pulled it off. I came in, even though he wasn't challenged a lot. It doesn't matter. We came back and he won the game. And he made some stops in overtime. So I think mentally now that's going to help him. So it kind of worked out to our benefit the way it did, where you can't, I know people want to say Drieger, blew it, but at the same point,
Bob's won 2 Veznas. That's why we got him. That's why we're paying him the big bucks.
Right.
Don't ask me why he was horrible last year. Not that great this year, but you know what? It's money time. Now let's back up the tapes a little bit, and I'll tell you what my perception is.
Okay.
In the playoffs, it's all about mistakes.
Right.
Lucky bounces. Obviously you're going to have your goal scorers sniping. I watched the replay of, the highlights of the Pittsburgh game.
Right.
And Jeff Carter, man, he's just like lit it up. But this fancy schmancy stick handling, trying to get the puck out instead of just banging it off the boards.
Right.
I mean, obviously, when you cough up the puck and you give it back to Tampa, they're going to work their cycle around and eventually getting us running around and tired, and eventually somebody's going to put it in.
Yep.
You can't leave anybody in front of the net. I mean, we've talked about that till we were blue in the face.
That's been none of our a couple of times already.
That's one reason for getting Gudis to clear out the crease. But the key is, if the defense or a forward in the defensive end has the puck, get it out immediately.
Yeah. Right.
I mean, Nudavara, man, passing cross ice, intercepted. I mean, those mistakes.
Was that his pass that got intercepted?
I don't know if they scored on. I think they scored on it, but
they did. Yeah, so that must have been his pass.
In the Stanley Cup playoffs, it's so fast. It's all about mistakes, and it's about good goal. It's about good goaltending.
Right. Yeah.
Vasilevsky played. He played a good game. I mean, anytime you score 5-6 goals, as we did, in game 1 and game 3. I mean, in the final 2 games, granted they weren't playing Hedman. I don't know. I don't think McDonough was playing. Stamkos wasn't playing, but still, Vasilevsky is supposed to be the best goalie in the league with the best, goals against average, and we know we can score against him.
Yeah,
and you know what? He knows we can score
exactly. He's
You
exactly right.
know,
You know, when I when I
but
when I watched Lomberg come in for the game winner last night, I saw Vasilevsky, and I haven't studied him enough to know if this is what he normally does. But you've talked about it, so I know you want to pick up on this. You've talked about you got to go high on these goalies. And as Lomberg came in, Vasilevsky got his glove up and ready and still got beat high over the glove. And it made me
because he was
wonder,
down. If you look, he was down on his pads, and
right,
goalies, it's like I don't understand. These goalies are so big, and they don't stand up. A lot of goals are scored like that because the
right,
goalies are already down on their knees. But I've said
right,
it, to everybody, the way to score in this league, and you'll notice, because I watch more than just the Panthers. The
right.
way to beat these goalies, because they're so good, is you go high. You go past their ear, and top corner right under the bar.
Yep,
These shots that these guys make going 80, 100 miles an hour are just incredible. What these kids can do with the puck.
right.
And Lumberg, like Duclair, they've had so many breakaways. Duclair is so guilty of trying to deke,
Yeah,
these goalies. They're so good. I mean, they practice every day to shoot
yeah,
out. You
right.
know, you just have to go in. I mean, look at Hornquist had a couple of goals, overtime goals, I think, where he fired it over, the goalie's shoulder.
Right.
You
Well,
go
what he
top
did,
corner.
what Hornquist did last night, I don't know if he could even legally admit that he did it on purpose, but how he got that puck to go in off of his skate without using a kicking motion, if he did it on purpose, is absolutely brilliant. And it kind of looked like he did it on purpose, but without kicking. He'd never admit it right now, obviously, but I watched the replay a few times, and it was either infinitely perfect timing or purposeful. Either way, we'll take it. But you can do that now. He didn't have to kick it. If it just hits my skate happens to be moving that way, you're good.
I would say he'd have to be like Einstein genius to have done it purposely. I don't think so. I think he just
No,
turned his body to screen, Vasilevsky, and
right.
it just got. Look, we didn't have any puck luck in game two. We
No, we
had it in
didn't.
game one,
Right,
and we had it last night.
right.
Um,
Yeah, I
it
talked.
just sucks that we have to overcome, the referees letting all these penalties go, and then they call a penalty
Who was that?
on was it Duclair?
Duclair? Yeah, they called it penalty on
Pushing
Duclair,
pushing
but
Stamkos with 22 seconds left.
right,
Come
right.
on, they put their whistles away the whole third period. Hey,
Yeah.
listen, it worked out. It usually evens out, but it's just
That to me,
we're
that's
both shaking
why
our heads
I know. And
that they came back.
to me, that's why they played game two that way. I think I made that point at the end of the recap in game two was because remember we had a different referee crew game one and game two. So I think by the time they got to game two, they didn't know how both teams really didn't know how the game was going to get called, who was going to get called for what. So I think the lack of intensity of game two was a product a little bit of that, especially for the Panthers, where I mean, Bennett gets suspended. Yeah, was it charging? Yeah, it was charging, but they just freaking knocked Barkov in the head 10 seconds earlier, and they don't even give him 2 minutes. And you could go back all the years I've been
What
doing
about
videos. What's
what
that?
about the cross check on McDonough on Duclair?
On Duclair,
Same
right,
type of hit as the benefit. No
right,
penalty.
right. It was worse. It's certainly
Anyway,
worse than what Duclair did to Stamkos last night by far. And I'm not somebody you could watch all my videos. You can count. I don't even think I could fill up one hand with the number of times I've actually complained about the referees. It's just not my thing. But game one was it was just so blatant and so brutal that even for me, I had to acknowledge it because it just was just so unevenly called. And I know everybody says, oh, the league wants the Panthers to win and there's all this bias. And I don't necessarily disagree with that, but then at the same point, it just gets you thinking, man, if that's actually true and there's an actual real bias against us that gets bothersome. You know what I mean? I'd like to
Listen,
see things be evened out a little bit more. And they always say, "Oh, well, win something and you'll earn that respect." It's like, well, how can you win? You're getting calls like that with 22 seconds left, like you said.
well, a lot of people know I have a 90-year-old mother that is like a diehard, just crazy nutty fan.
Yeah.
And she brings that up to me all the time. She's like, you should write a letter to the league complaining about the referee. So funny. I'm
That's
like, Mom, you write the letter.
yeah, yeah,
Listen, it doesn't matter. The referees lose the game when they let those scrums happen
right,
and they let the players get away with punching guys in the face or choking the guy. I mean, they should call penalties right off the bat
right,
and straighten the players out and say, look, we're not going to put up with this shit.
right.
Like last night at the end, why didn't Barkov and Gord get penalized? They
Right.
basically started fighting.
Yeah, they were basically fighting on the
How do you,
ice. Right.
how do you figure that one out?
Right. Right.
So there's one thing I like, and that's like we came out in game one, taking it to the bolt, just like first period of last night
Right.
with, hitting. You know, again, most of us who've been around a while know that we've been a soft team for years.
Yep.
This is the first year, like Zito wanted to come in and change the culture, and he brought in guys like
Oh man.
Gudis, which
Yep.
I think was just a masterpiece move.
And then Bennett,
Hornquist,
man.
Bennett. I mean,
Bennett,
these
that
guys, it's a tough league, and you gotta show strength, not weakness.
right, right.
Because teams capitalize on weakness.
Yep.
So
No disagreement
gotta
there,
give
man.
props. We can't overlook the Gudis flip pass and then the Vetrano sauce pass
Now I
that
asked
makes
right. Now I asked George and Jameson, and I haven't gotten a response yet because obviously it was after I did the recap, so they had already talked to the players. But I'm trying to find out because that looked like a set play to me. It really did because the draw went right back, and it was just like boom, boom, boom. It really looked like a set play to me. And I know sometimes they work on stuff like that. So I just want one of those guys to ask in the locker room and see if that was a set play. Like we know, you could tell that play that Tampa scored twice on us on the power play with the fake shot and the pass the point. You could tell they were working on that for weeks. You know what I mean? And so I just would love to know if that was on purpose or if that just all happened magically right there. Now when Lomberg started skating with the puck, all I saw was the 4, right? And I'm like, tip it, and I'm like, please. And then as soon as he scored, I saw the 9, and I'm like, no, I don't believe it.
yeah,
Ryan Lomberg.
the only thing is, bro, Tippett's a righty.
Yeah. No, you're right. I end up
But,
not paying that close attention enough to notice that, but you're right. That's a good point. All I saw was the 4, and I'm me, I'm like you with Forsling. I'm waiting all game for Tippett to do something. So as soon as I saw the 4, that's what I was thinking.
all right, so let's talk about Tip and give the kid some credit. I
Right.
wasn't his biggest fan.
Right.
And you were pointing out to me that he's not going to produce like he should if he's not in the top 6.
Right.
I think pairing up with Huberto, the best passer in the league, and Bennett, who's just impressed me,
Oh yeah. Well, hold on. I lost
he
your
needs to
audio.
keep shooting.
Okay, we lost your audio there for a half a second, but
Yeah,
you're back
because
now.
I had a call coming in. I had to
Oh,
decline it.
okay, no worries.
So I think Tippett, every chance he gets, should shoot. Now you look at Verhage.
Right.
Verhage doesn't pass.
Well,
Vetrano
no.
very rarely passes.
Right.
When they have an opportunity to shoot, they
Yep.
shoot.
Yep.
And the old Denny Potvin line, the best pass is a rebound.
Best pass is a rebound. Yep. No,
I think that's if we get guys, but Tippett's supposed to be have this cannon, and he's a sniper. Look at Barkov. I mean, Barkov was always pass first.
Right.
This year he turned it around,
Yeah.
and it was the shoot first mentality. And look how many goals he got.
Yep. 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 Yeah. Well, the thing with Tippett was, when we saw him for those few games with Achari and Vetrano, and that was the last time Vetrano got hot, and that line was playing well together. And then for whatever reason, Q said Tippett looked ordinary and moved them down. And then he gave him like 4 or 5 games where he was just like all over the place. Like every period he was playing with different players, and people were saying, well, Tippett looks lost. And so, well, he was playing well. Q moved him down, and some players are going to respond to that. But he hasn't played enough games to be moved around like that all over the place. He's just figuring out what he can do at this level. So I just figured, man, just give him 3 or 4 games with the same line mates, even if it's not in the top 6, just to develop some kind of chemistry with somebody. And because I could tell.
I think he's in the right spot.
Yeah. Yeah.
If he could just do what Mike Bossy used to do, and the greatness of Bossy, besides what a great shot he had, was his ability to get free.
Right.
The good goal scorers find a way to find an empty space,
right,
so they can take that shot.
Right.
So,
well, he
but
screamed.
I like his two-way game. I mean, I wish he could stay on his skate a little bit more, but he's definitely engaged. But not having to rely on Barkov all the time in his line.
Right.
That second line, and even the Wenberg line. I mean, listen, we have 4 good lines. Notice who Q puts out against the Stamkos line or the point line. He puts out Achari, Lomberg.
Right.
Who was the other? Toronto was on that line?
Who was on that line?
Who was on that line with them?
Marchment?
No,
was
Marchment.
No, well, last night he actually put Duclair on the 4th line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But roll 4 lines, I mean, and keep Barkov, not playing 30 minutes a game. I mean, we definitely burned him out the last few years because we didn't have any other scoring.
Have you heard anything about what was really Have you heard anything about what was really wrong with Barkov last night? I joked that it was his stomach, but maybe it was, because he came back and looked fine.
I don't know. Well, you look at the replay. Verhaeghe gave him a good, we went to check the Tampa guy and ended up hitting Barkov right in the chest.
Is that right? So maybe it knocked the wind out of him or something?
He did not look good like himself the rest of the game. So hopefully a couple of days of rest.
Right.
But but I got to tell you, man, if Bobrovsky can just keep it together,
right,
and make those big saves, I mean, we obviously every game's a must-win game, but if we can take 2 in Tampa and bring it back to best of 3, anything goes. Tampa knows we can beat them. Right. And that's big. We're in their head right now that we came back and won that game.
Yep. At home, no less.
Yeah. So expect fireworks tomorrow. Expect Tampa to come out. And listen, that these teams are watching films. It's a day off, but they're watching films to see what went wrong. Just like that drawn up Braden Point power play, Kucherov off the point. They probably studied our PK over and over and over again, looking for weaknesses.
Yep.
I mean, any good coaching staff's going to do that. But
and they know that's everybody is going to key. I mean, you said it yourself at the beginning. We've said it. You can't let Kuch or Stamkos just stand there and take those one-timers. So they know everybody's worried about that. So the fact that it's worked twice, that's enough. You know what I mean? Somebody, I
was going to say, what you got to do with the box is you got to cheat a little bit. But they move it around so fast, these guys. I went to my first hockey game in 1965. I grew up with the Islanders. I was lucky enough to get a job as they called them stick boys back then, not equipment managers. But I worked for the Islanders for about 3.5 years, pre-dynasty. So I got to see Denny Potvin and Nystrom and Trottier and Bossy and Gill. I got to see these guys, as they were, developing
Right.
the
Right.
nucleus of that team.
Right.
And I could tell you, when I started watching hockey, there weren't even helmets. And obviously
That's
they
right.
had wood sticks. And obviously, the goalies had a piece of plastic on
Yeah.
their face. The equipment better, they're bigger, genetics. I mean,
Oh yeah.
I was just telling somebody that I was at, I actually went to say hello. The Islanders had a game in 2001. They had the Islander alumni versus the NHL All-Stars at BB&T.
Right.
And I was the honorary, I showed you the picture, right? I
Yeah.
was the
Yeah.
honorary trainer that day.
Yeah.
And I remember, in between periods, I remember them, they're telling war stories, and they were talking about how they all used to light cigarettes up in between periods. It was really
Yeah.
funny hearing them.
Yeah.
And it
That's
was so true.
right. That's
These guys
crazy.
didn't work out. So that's why these kids are drafted at 17. And
Right.
you take a guy like Ekblad, 18 years old, Barkov,
Right.
McDavid,
Yeah. I
whatever.
mean,
They're playing. By the
they're.
way, I'm wearing for everybody. I am wearing.
There
Don't
you go.
forget this guy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Boy, could we use him? Yeah. Boy, if we could.
Just imagine what this team would be if we still had him.
Right. Right.
Not
And
necessarily that he was going to win the Norris, but what he brings offensively. He was having his best defensive year, in my opinion.
right.
Obviously there were a couple of years there where we were all shaking our head going, what happened to the Ekblad
Yeah.
from year one?
Right. Right.
But
Right.
injuries happen, unfortunately. But I think Zito has got to win the GM of the year. I can't see anybody
Oh,
that has
yeah.
made the moves that he has made and filled, just put the right puzzle pieces together.
Yeah. And
I
then
mean,
he
you
added
can
when he added
make a
Bennett.
list.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
that was a stroke of genius.
Yeah.
I just, this guy obviously does his homework.
Right.
Forsling picked off waivers.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wenberg, he knew from Columbus. Okay, great. Nudavara, same thing. Who else? Duclair.
Duclair. Yeah.
Now,
Duclair.
Duclair didn't get 20, 25 goals this year,
Yeah.
but he had a lot of assists, and he brings a lot of energy.
Yeah. Yeah. He definitely
And look at this
drives the play.
Look at this kid Lumberg.
Yeah.
Where did he come from?
I know.
So
no, we talked
anyway,
about that. We
So
talked about that with rolling the four lines. We're both popping in and out on each other a little bit.
Yeah, because it's really, when I get a chance to talk to somebody that's knowledgeable, we have a lot of fickle Panther fans out there that at the slightest whatever, I'm sure there were a lot of people on, and I wasn't on Twitter last night as I usually am.
Right.
I'm sure when we went down 5-3, there were, these fickle fans that said, "Up, game over. We suck. It's over. Wait till next year."
I knew we'd make it 5-4 because if nothing else, we're gonna give ourselves that false hope goal, right? But look, the game two, the reason why I was so distraught after the game was the opposite of what you're saying here, in a sense that, like, even right up until the empty net goal, there was zero doubt in my mind that we were tying that game, getting it to overtime and winning. I was like, there's no way we're losing both games at home. There's no way we're going down 2-0.
Right.
There was no
Well,
room in my brain for that.
I kept on telling you when we were texting, number one, this team has done it before.
Right.
And the way they were bringing it with the desperation, like the old Panther teams would play desperate with 2 or 3 minutes left and run out of time.
Yeah, it's exactly right.
These guys were bringing it. Like, I don't know, did Hornquist score around the 4-minute mark?
Yeah. I think it was like
early?
3:41 or something. It was pretty early on in.
Okay. So as I was telling you, last night, if they were bringing it, they were making a major push after that, wave after wave, and Tampa was not countering. They were just dumping it out. I think they iced it a lot.
Yeah, they did.
The Panthers were determined to tie it up. And I said to you, if they keep coming in waves like this, eventually somebody's going to make a mistake.
Yep.
We're going to get a lucky bounce. And that play, if you looked at that play, it went to Hornquist, to Wenberg, and nobody covered Forsling coming in.
No.
He was all alone, and he buried it.
Yep. And that was.
And I had a feeling if we could hold on. Now, we almost lost the game with about a minute left. Yeah. I don't remember who it was. It might have been Point. But as soon as we went to overtime, I said,
yeah,
we're going to win this game. I actually thought it was going to be Vetrano. We were talking about Vetrano's being, Vetrano's kind of invisible this series, but I figured he would be the OT, he's the third period and OT champion this year, but
close
I'm so
enough.
happy for Lumber.
Oh, that
so
was
happy
for
you.
I know, and now you can never take him out of the lineup again, right? That's it. He's in. That's it. It's like with Bob now. It's just like, Drieger, dude, we love you, but now there's no putting Drieger back in unless Bobrovsky just absolutely loses it, and at that point, probably the game is over anyway. You know what I mean? But I mean,
listen. Besides the money that these guys make, they have a lot of pride and they have ego.
Right.
And Bob, I'm sure, was burning that Drieger took his job away. So he's got something to prove.
Right.
And don't forget, these games are on national TV.
Right.
So the whole country gets to watch.
Well, I watched the national feed yesterday because that's when I streamed. That I was getting that and not Goldstein and Randy. And like, especially obviously the entire second period, the announcers were just questioning Q's decision to put Drieger in. But like we said, it worked out. And now Bob is like got that confidence. You know what I mean? He's finally, I said it on Twitter when overtime, when it was like 5 minutes left. I basically said, look, if Bob wants to finally get into the hearts of Panther fans, right now, you pull this off, and all of us doubters will be like, all right, we're behind you. You know what I mean? And he wasn't tested a lot.
What's more important, Eric? It's the players.
Right. Yeah.
Having confidence. Yep. Like they had it seemed to me like they had more confidence with Drieger in that than Bob this year.
Right.
Or last year for sure.
Yeah.
But it's going to be interesting, and it's an afternoon game tomorrow, so that's, I don't know if that's going to be a factor. But
both teams
anyway,
play at the same time.
I'm hoping, obviously there is a game 5. I'm hoping, I'm supposed to hear back from my my manager because we have a company suite. So I'm hoping that and the suite was full the other night. So I'm hoping that I'm able to get a couple of tickets.
Yeah. That would be a sweet game to get to, especially if we pull off 4. You know what I mean? Then we're, like you said, we're right back there. It's a 3-game series, and we got 2 at home. And
what did I tell you? Like right after you did the live stream, and I was telling you, obviously penalty, stay out of the box. But what did
Right.
I tell you? We needed to win the game.
You tell me. I
We said we're going to need at the minimum, 4 to
right.
5 goals.
That's right. That's right. No, you did. That's right. I remember that. I think you said we're gonna at least need 5 tonight. I'm pretty sure
Yeah,
that's exactly.
we're not winning against Tampa with 2 goals. Just, I mean,
No.
look what they did. 2-0,
Right.
and boom, boom. Within a couple of minutes, the game's
Yeah.
tied, and then they go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
All on mistakes, by the way.
right.
And most of the mistakes were not clearing the puck. And I don't know what Q is doing today, but they should be showing video and hammering into these guys. Huberto is guilty of that all the time. He tries to dipsy doodle. That's what
Yeah.
Yandel's guilty of.
Yeah.
No, you get it out of the zone. Listen, I don't know when that flip out of the zone started happening. They never used to do that. But
Right.
that seems to be like the norm now. All you
Yeah.
have to do is just flip it out or get it off the boards. Even if you ice it,
Right.
you got to get it out
Yeah.
because you know as well as I do, when you see a team, and we've done it too, when you see a team lagging that puck in the zone for almost a minute or so, the defensive
Yep. The
guys are getting
defense. Yep.
tired and whatnot, and eventually there's going to be a goal. I mean, you could see
Yep.
it coming.
Yep. No,
So
and that's
anyway,
absolutely.
let's segue into this draft situation,
Yeah,
and then
you read
I'm
my
going to have to
mind.
say, I got to get back to work. All these people.
Okay.
First of all, Driga's a UFA.
Right.
Okay, so I don't know how that works as far as when his contract is actually up. Is it before the draft? Is it after the draft? But he's a UFA.
It's after.
If there's an understanding.
Yeah, it's after. It's after. I asked Chris Grega this question because he knows a lot about the details and the intricacies of this. And basically what it is that it's either right before the draft. I think it's right before the draft where if Seattle is thinking about taking a free agent, they can have like 3 days to negotiate a possible contract with that player before selecting them. So, for instance, if they wanted Drieger, they could contact him and be like, "Hey, you want 5 times 5? What do we got to do to sign you?" And if Drieger's like, "Yeah, I'll come play," then they know they can draft them. So they've kind of worked out a system there for that.
Yeah. So my personal feeling is, it's not like he's a signed player that we're going to lose.
Right.
Obviously, my big worry is that we're going to lose a Forsling or
well, that's what Zito.
It's gonna be interesting. And you got
what I heard was Zito was trying to.
You got Ron Francis
right.
as the GM, and he really knows his stuff. So
right.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. I heard that I saw this on Twitter before the playoffs started, that what Zito was hoping to do is work out a sign and trade so he can sign Drieger and then make a trade like we do with Marchessault and Smith to where Seattle takes Drieger and then we don't lose a Forsling or a Chari.
Right.
That would be the hope.
So who do you give him? Yandel?
Yeah, no problem. Hey, I'm good with that.
Yandel is not leaving. Yandel is not leaving.
No.
The sun and the beach and no taxes to go to Seattle where it rains all the time and it's miserable. Have you ever been to Seattle?
No, but I've lived in Alaska, close enough.
Yeah. So it's going to be interesting. I mean, listen, we have Spencer Knight.
Right.
I mean, let's just hypothetically, we lose Drieger.
Yeah.
He's a great goalie, but I'm okay with that because I think Knight's better. And I think the game plan is probably have Bob play another 2-3 years after this year.
Right.
Have Knight as his backup, and then Knight just segues into being the starter. We also have Monty.
Right,
What do we
right,
do
right,
with him? And we have that kid Levy, who was the
right.
goalie for Team Canada. What do we
Yeah.
do with him? So we're pretty solid
No,
in the goaltending position.
we are, and that's why when everybody's talking about the trade deadline, I kept saying do not trade Drieger for two reasons. Number one, in case we need
Right.
him for the playoffs, and number two, if we're going to lose him anyway, let's just lose him to Seattle, and then we don't lose anybody else to Seattle. So if we traded Drieger, not only are we trading Drieger, but we're trading whoever we were going to lose to Seattle because they can't take Drieger. He's not there anymore. So Zito's made the right move so far. The bigger worry,
So look at the other side of things.
okay,
We got what? 3 defensemen, a goalie, and 7 forwards.
right,
Correct?
right, yeah.
Who do you protect? Who do you protect?
Well, a lot of that's going to come down to
I mean,
the,
you can't trade, you can't expose Bob. He's got a no
right.
trade. So
But that's
he's
where
the
that meeting with Yandel. It's that meeting with Yandel that you want to have. We need you there in that meeting, okay? Because if we can get Yandel to waive the no move clause, we don't have to protect him. But because he's
correct.
got that, so that's one player. That's Forsling or Atari, right? Because well, you got if you got Barkov, Huberto, Ekblad, Uyghur, you're already at 4,
Well,
right?
let's do the forwards first.
Okay, so listen.
So you got obviously Barkov, Huberto is 2.
right,
Then it's going to be 3.
right.
Okay, so now you got 4 more.
Now, I think somebody said Tippett doesn't need to be protected because he doesn't have enough NHL games. So
That I don't.
right, that's another situation there where obviously you kind of got to put him on the list of wanting to protect if we have to. So,
Like you said, the guy that has the answers for that is Chris Krieger.
right. There's so much that's going to go on before that happens because we don't know what we're going to do with Yandel. We don't know what we're going to do with Strawman, and we don't know what's going to happen with Drieger. And with Zito,
Well,
I mean, I keep saying it. Go ahead.
It's gonna be Ekblad and Uyghur. They're not gonna expose them.
Right.
My big worry is they're gonna lose Forsling. That Forsling is the guy they're gonna take. Because usually, it's the goalies and the defense that they want solid. I mean,
Right.
just look at what Vegas did.
I know. Believe me. we got
But I have
shafted.
faith in Zito. I mean, the
Yeah.
guy he did exactly what he said he was gonna do.
Yep.
And then some.
Right. I mean, come on.
And then
He got Pittsburgh to give us Hornquist and take Mike Matheson. I mean, just that alone, the fact that somehow he got on the phone with somebody and actually not only convinced them to take Matheson, but to give us a good player in return is absurd.
Well, it cost Rutherford his job.
Yeah.
And I tweeted it at the time that the fans were going to have a conniption, and sure enough, like a few days later, he's gone. I mean, that was a stroke of genius. Yeah. Hey, listen, just getting rid of Matheson,
right?
And that everybody wanted. Who were the 2 players last year that I kept harping on that I thought were detrimental to the team? And both of them got traded.
Right. Well, we're Matheson and who else? What are you talking about? Pesic? No.
The puck hog.
The puck. Oh, yeah, Vinny. Yeah. He got traded during the season. I see what you're saying. I was thinking off season. Yeah. Well, yeah. He's.
And I'm happy. I'm happy for him in Carolina, but I again, this is just my opinion, and everybody's entitled to their opinion.
Yes.
I just did not like, and you can make an excuse about the injury and whatnot, but even before the injury, I thought he was a selfish player, took a lot of stupid penalties.
Right.
I really think, I mean, if you want to call him immature, I think he was pissed off that he didn't get to see.
Right.
And, you know, he was a puck hog. I mean,
Yeah.
and he was a loafer. He didn't,
Right.
anyway, enough
Yeah.
said on that.
No, I know what you mean. The only thing I'll say in Trocheck's defense, and I was not a huge Trocheck fan, but I will say just on a professional level, in terms of, the players around you are going to affect how you play, and that affects how much money you're going to make. Trocheck, Marchessault, and Smith was a hell of a line. And then the next thing you know, he's like, are you guys freaking kidding me? Both? And then look
Well,
at who they were putting on his lines, right?
yeah. Well,
So,
can't do nothing about the Dale Talon days there and Tom Rowe days.
oh, I know.
But,
And they're still biting us a little bit right now. We're almost out. We're almost done. We're almost
well,
done.
listen, we got to re-sign Barkov and Huberdeau. But again, you and I talked about the numbers. You got Bob at 10.
Right.
You got Ekblad at 8. You got Yandel at 6 and change. So what is that? 24 right there.
Strawman's still at 5.5 next year.
That's crazy.
Right.
So Barkov's going to want at least 10. Huberdeau's going to want at least 10 or 11. Where's the money coming from for the rest of the guys?
No, that's why.
I mean, we're really screwed.
Yeah, no, and we are. And I'm actually going to write an article next week. And I know you're going to tell me I'm crazy and I'm dreaming and it was wishful thinking, but I'm still writing the damn article because I have a way that we can rid ourselves of Bob. I know. Let me write the damn thing. Let me live in my fantasy land anyway. I need to get it out, man. It's my therapy,
Okay, you write it, knock yourself out. But it's the player that has to agree to being traded.
I know.
You got Tampa, you got LA. I mean, who the hell is gonna want to leave sunny Florida?
Right.
No tax, no state tax.
I know.
All right. The kids are in a nice environment.
Right.
What? He's gonna waive his no trade to go to Buffalo or Chicago? Come on.
I know. It's just at some point. At some point.
In my opinion.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
No.
This is one of the big factors in why the team were underachievers all of these years.
Right.
And the fact that COVID proved, because of the bubble last year and because of the restrictions, not going out to Las Olas after the games and staying up till 3 a.m, getting hammered, and then having to go to practice and really not putting in it. These guys were focused on hockey.
Yep. That is an excellent point.
Someone countered and said, but what about Tampa? Why is Tampa so good? Well, in my opinion, again, it's not Las Olas and South Beach.
Yeah, no. If anybody's trying to compare Tampa and South Beach, they haven't been to South Beach enough. Okay. I grew up on South Beach.
A lot of hot chicks.
Yep.
I mean, these guys got it made. They
come
to practice in shorts and flops. They're done by 1 o'clock. They could go to the pool and hang out with the wife or whatever. They can go to the golf course. I mean, there's distractions playing here.
Right.
And I think if you think about what, the one good thing out of COVID was the restrictions of these guys not being able to go out and party. That they would just they were focused on hockey all the time, and it shows.
Yep.
No
doubt there. Anyway. All right, but I know you got to get running.
Yeah, you got anything else you want to chat about that we missed? Did we cover pretty much everything?
No, I guess let's just give predictions for the series and let you get back to work. I'm
I don't want to
sticking.
do that.
You don't want to do it? Well, I'm gonna stick with my prediction of Panthers in 6. How about that?
Okay. Well, that's good. So here's what I will say
Okay,
without making any predictions.
gotcha.
If the Panthers come out like they did in game 1, like a freaking gangbusters,
Right.
where they hit everything in sight and take it to them, get an early lead, again, score a minimum of 4 or 5 goals,
Yep.
stay out of the box with stupid penalties, these lazy hooking penalties. You never know what the refs are going to do about cross-checking. They
Right.
let it go 90% of the time. When it happens to us,
Yep.
the retaliatory shit, that can't happen.
No.
Scrums, gotta be careful now with the scrums, because you never know when they're going to call penalties. We
Exactly.
gotta, if we're going, listen, it's going to happen where, if the refs call 2 or 3 penalties on Tampa, they're going to have a makeup call, especially in Tampa.
Right.
We're going to get a
Right.
couple of penalty kills,
Yeah. And
but that's got to be solid. Getting the puck out of the zone quickly. Bob obviously has to come up big.
yep.
It's a real simple formula.
Yeah.
Get all 4 lines cracking and neutralize the Panther killers.
And
Stamkos, Kucherov, Point, and Hedman.
and keep Yandel off to the side. Just watch from the press
And
box. Yep.
keep you in. Now, I mentioned I always pronounce his name wrong, but
Connaughton.
you might want to think about throwing that Connaughton guy in. Who,
Right.
Yeah, I think he's a decent player. He's a veteran. He's he's a tough guy. We need that. Nudavara. I mean, you got a bunch of mobile defensemen. I really like Montour.
Yeah.
I didn't know much about him, but the more I see him, the more I like him. But I think Nudavara I think he's a little shaky,
Yep.
in the
Yep.
mental.
Yeah.
He's like, he can't be panicking. Forsling, all right, granted, everybody's entitled to a bad game. For the most part, Forsling's been super solid
Right.
the whole year. Uyghur, I don't know if he thinks he's Bobby Orr now, but Uyghur thinks he could skate through the whole thing. Uyghur's got to concentrate on playing defense and
Right.
not make stupid ups and, bad decisions with the puck.
I know. No,
And like I said,
Uyghur's he's trying to fill
things
Ekblad's shoes. He's trying to fill Ekblad's shoes right now is what he's trying to do. And I
Yeah.
think we talked about this, putting Strawman up top with him at first kind of looked like a disaster, but I think it calmed Uyghur down, man. It just brought Uyghur down just enough to where you saw it last night. He almost had a goal, and he was in position a lot more last night. Where the first 2 games, he was huffing and puffing because he's skating all over the place because he's pinching and then he's got to run back and last night was a much better game from him. So if it takes Strawman up top with him, a win is a win.
And I still say Forsling should be QB in the power play. I like Montour. I mean, that 5 forward combo worked.
Yeah.
I wouldn't recommend it. All the time, but I don't understand why Quenneville does not give Forsling a chance. It just boggles my mind. But again, 4 or 5 goals minimum and punish these guys.
Right.
Finish your check. Just crush them. Nobody wants to get hit.
No, not especially this late in the year. Their bodies are already beat up.
This was a lot of fun.
Yep. Thank you, Stu. Yep.
My
all
pleasure.
right, buddy. I appreciate you coming on. We'll have this. This will be up later. All right. Thanks. Bye, bud.
We'll check tomorrow as usual.
Yep. All right. Thanks.
Go Cats.
Go Cats.